Okay, shalom everybody and Shavua Tov. So, like we said last week, we went off tangent to go an addendum related to Reb Noson's letter that we read, where he's quoting from the discourse that he wrote at the time of Parashat Vayera. And since this year it fell that we are still holding at the end of the letter and the next letter, when Rav Noson was writing this discourse, so I felt it very necessary just to quickly see inside the actual explanation Rav Noson gives on Parshat Vayera, which we saw, and it's really amazing. And we're going to continue the second part, even though it's already the next week already Parshat Chayesara, but we have still a touch of the Parsha. Another point is, if Rav Noson felt that he found an indication in the Parsha of the week to these ideas, so it's showing also that this time of the year is that type of challenge. In other words, how we expressed the challenge of standing at the entrance of the tent and the doors closed and they don't let you in, and yet you're waiting to get in, this is so applicable to this time of the year, which is the month of Cheshvan. How? After having such an uplifting month of Tishrei, which besides being a new year, the day of judgment, the day of forgiveness, and Sukkot, and Simchat Torah, the idea of the Chagim is that you take with you energy from that holy month, and now you use it for the rest of the year. So since there's a rule in life that all beginnings are difficult, kol atchalot kashot, and the technical beginning of the year is the month of Cheshvan, so it's fitting that a person feels a battle in this month. Now you can say, we say this every month is a battle. Yes, but in the month of Cheshvan, you feel energized to the extent that it's a battle and you feel the weaponry. You have the weapons to fight back. You feel the difficulty in the battle, and it's a challenge, but you have strength, you have energy. As opposed to other times of the year, where you feel the battle against the Yetzer Hara, but you say, I have no koach, I don't know what to do anymore, I'm drained. Whereas now, he stressed the point of Avraham Avinu, V'hu yoshev petach ha'ohel kechom hayom, that I'm not budging. You want to heat me up? You heat me up, Yetzer Hara, you try to bring me down, I'm not budging. To make such a statement, I'm not budging, requires strength. Where do you get that strength from? So it makes sense, after such an amazing month of Tishrei, you have the strength to say, I'm not budging. I'm being attacked, it's true, but I'm holding on. So it's a month of really having what's called resilience, holding on and being strong with Tishrei. So now, because Rav Noson went into the concept of the tent, where we said in last week's parsha, by Avraham Avinu, V'hu yoshev petach ha'ohel kechom hayom, that the entrance to the holiness is called the tent. Petach ha'ohel, and it's to enter the devotion of God. We went into that last week. So Noson wants to go into a little idea of a tent. Why is it called a tent? Entrance, I understand the idea of an entrance, but you say a tent. You know, a tent has a different, it's not like an entrance to a prison or to a palace or to a hidden room or chamber. It's a tent. A tent is like, floppy and weak. What's the idea of a tent? So look at now Rav Noson, he's going to connect now Avraham Avinu's waiting at the entrance to the tent to the concept of the disciple Yehoshua ben Nun waiting by the tent. Lomash mitoch ha'ohel. So he says like this. So we're continuing with where we left off. We're going to brisk through this. I already gave classes on this halacha in depth. It's already on the playlist that I made 2 years ago. 3 years ago, I was with this discourse. Of course, it's much more enhanced now since 3 years ago, but we have to brisk through it because it's already been done, and we want to give people a taste of this amazing discourse. Because Rav Noson himself in the letter is quoting the discourse. He himself is like indicating to learn this lesson to his son and to anybody, and he says in the letter himself, look there for more details. So that's the case, and it's the parsha of the week, like we just said. It's chaval to blow it, to lose it. So let's try to finish up from here, this point, to the end of the discourse. Okay, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. Let's see how fast we can go. Okay? So he says like this, Reb Noson. וזהו בחינת ויהושע בן נון נער לא ימיש מתוך האוהל. With the introduction given about Avraham Avinu, now we can understand the verse, the concept of this other verse from Shmot, chapter 33. It's in the parsha of Kitisa about the sin of the golden calf. Okay? So it's like this. Yehoshua ben Nun na'ar, so Yehoshua ben Nun was a lad, not moving, not budging from within the tent. The Torah is telling us how Yehoshua wasn't involved at all in the golden calf. He wasn't with the tribe of Levi, he wasn't with the sages, he wasn't with anybody else who was in close proximity to the golden calf. He was waiting at the point that Moshe Rabbeinu went up for 40 days and 40 nights. Yehoshua planted himself there like a faithful disciple waiting for his Rebbe to come back down. So Yehoshua hu b'chinat ha-talmid shel tzaddik ha'emet shenikra Moshe. Yehoshua is not just the actual person called Yehoshua, but he's representing every faithful disciple of the true Tzaddik, and the true Tzaddik being called Moshe, because who's a greater example of a true Tzaddik like Moshe Rabbeinu himself, the epitome of a Tzaddik that we have in Judaism, of a Tzaddik, true Tzaddik. You have Yosef HaTzaddik, who's called a Tzaddik because he mastered the covenant, the brit, by the sexual temptations that he overcame. But you have a Tzaddik Emet, which is the term of not just someone who's a Tzaddik, for sure Moshe Rabbeinu worked hard to reach his level, but also he's a leader. Yosef HaTzaddik was a viceroy. He was there. His father was still technically above him. Yaakov was in a sense higher than Yosef. In Kabbalah, Yosef is on the sphere down below called Yesod, and Yaakov is above. He's called Tiferet. So still, in a sense, Yosef was secondary to his father. Moshe Rabbeinu, though, was unique. Rabban Shel Kol HaNevi'im, the rabbis, the master of all the prophets. He's the highest. Okay? So he's called the true tzaddik, Moshe Rabbeinu, being a leader from Israel. He's a tzaddik that guides people to the truth, as opposed to a tzaddik who mastered himself. So he's a tzaddik for himself. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu is a tzaddik emet, and Yehoshua represents the disciple of the true tzaddikim. Like Rabbi Nachman himself mentions this. This is found in the Kutei Moran, lesson number 6, and also the other places can explain that lesson. He says he sends us here to the book Tzaddik, paragraph number 2, section 2 of the book Tzaddik, Chaim Moharan in Hebrew. That Rabbi Nachman, when he get the lesson over, he said the following: שבכל מקום שיש רבי ותלמיד הם בחינת משה ויהושע ואוהל מועד. That whenever you have a concept of a Rebbe and a disciple meeting, automatically that activates the concept of Moshe and Yehoshua and the tent of meeting, Ohel Moed, where they meet. The main purpose of Ohel Moed, one opinion, one explanation, is where the divine presence came down in the Ohel Moed, in the Mishkan. But there's also Ohel Moed is a tent of meeting where the sages would meet to learn Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. And that was mainly for the main disciple, Yehoshua. So Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, is made whenever a Rebbe and Talmid come together, they activate the concept of Moshe Yehoshua. What's Reb Noson trying to get to here? Let's see. Talmid Yehoshua. This is why the student is called Yehoshua. Al Shem Ya Yoshiacha. Why was he called Yehoshua? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu add to Hoshea the Yud, transforming it to Yehoshua? The Rashi explains that he needed extra prayer and divine assistance to be saved by the influence, the negative influence of the spies. So Moshe Rabbeinu added a name and davened for him. So what does that mean? That means in general, anyone who takes upon themselves to become a talmid, they're in danger. It's good, it makes sense, but they're going to need an extra push of divine assistance to succeed in becoming a talmid. Because whenever a Moshe and Yehoshua meet, whenever a Rebbe and talmid meet, and there's a true connection, they create the tent of meeting, which is like the whole bonding of the whole creation. So because of that, there's a tremendous prosecution against that and opposition against that happening. So because of that, the student is called Yehoshua. Any student is called Yehoshua. Reb Noson's explaining why any talmid who is a true talmid is called Yehoshua, because he needs a lot of divine assistance to make it happen. Unbelievable what he's saying here. Okay? Our sages said in the Gemara in Sota, page 34b, this idea, what Rashi brings down on Parshat Shlach, that he added the Yud. Hainu, שכל חיותו ותקוותו על כוחו של רבו הצדיק שמתפלל עליו תמיד. Wow. The whole strength of his disciple and his hope is based on the power of the Rebbe of this, because who's the one who davened for Yehoshua? Moshe Rabbeinu. Who's the one who added the letter Yud to his name? Moshe Rabbeinu. So Reb Noson saying the talmid needs assistance, it's true divine assistance, but through the channel of his Rebbe. In other words, the tzaddikim have a responsibility to daven for their talmid. This is such an encouraging point. I can't tell you how important this point is. People, they feel sometimes that they sacrifice everything to try to become a disciple of the tzaddikim, and many times the tests are so unbearable, people feel so alone in this challenge. So Reb Noson's adding a point, once though you try to become a talmid, it's a two-way commitment, that now the tzaddik has a achrayut, has a responsibility to daven for this talmid now. Since the talmid is showing his sincerity, that he wants to become a talmid, so now the Rebbe, the tzaddik, has to now daven for that student to succeed now. He can't say, okay, let's see you do it on your own. Let's see you make it. No, because now there's an input from below, there has to be also an input from the side of the tzaddik himself to make this happen, to create the tent. All this is going to connect to the tent about Avraham Avinu's tent. That's why he's going into the concept of a tent. Okay? Wow. Okay, והשם זה נקרא תלמיד יהושע, השם ישערך כמו ששמעתם ז"ל, היינו שכל חיותו ותקוותו על כוחו של רבו הצדיק שמתפלל עליו תמיד. יא יושיעך. The Rebbe is davening for a student. May Hashem save you, because you need a lot of davening to succeed in doing what you're trying to do. You're fighting against the whole world. The whole world. Forget about the goyim. In the Jewish people itself, it's a rare concept. What is this Rebbe and Talmud? Well, you guys, it's like the concept that the Hasidim invented. That there's a Rebbe and Hasidim, which is the idea of a Rebbe and Talmidim. And that itself already faces opposition by the majority of the Torah observant world. And then even in the Hasidic world, you don't have sincere talmidim. You have Hasidim who just get together to drink schnapps, booze, or whatever, to make a Hasidic gathering, but there's no changing, there's no interchanging. It's very rare once a talmid wants to become a real talmid, you're sincere, so then they can start getting attacked. And that's when the tzaddik, if he's a real tzaddik, he will have to daven now for that talmid to succeed. Okay? The talmidim are the ones who are being attacked most by the Yetzer Hara, more than anyone else. It's a Mishnah and a Gemara that the Yetzer Hara, he left the whole world and just attacked the Jews. And then more than that, he left all the Jews to attack the religious Jews only. And then more than that, he leaves the religious Jews to attack the tzaddikim. It's a Gemara somewhere, like the exact phrasing, I'm sorry, I don't remember it off by heart. But the idea is Yetzer Hara, he lets go of the world, and then it deals with the Jews. Now within the Jews, he leaves the secular Jews and deals with the religious Jews. And now the religious Jews, he now is attacking the most, he's fighting most against to those who are closer to the real deal. So he attacks more the true tzaddikim and their talmidim. They're the ones who are being attacked the most by the Yetzer Hara. That's how the Gemara displays this idea. So because of that, he needs a lot of davening. Okay? So the tzaddik davens that Hashem Yisbarach should save him from the evil advice, the evil counsel of the evil side, which are always attacking these people who want to be students all the time. And they spread themselves forth with all the frustrations and confusions they face in trying to become a better human being, a better Jew, and all the battles they have. Yehoshua binu nar. So now with this, Reb Noson goes back to the beginning of the verse from Parashat Ki Tisa. The verse read, and Yehoshua bin Nun was a lad. What in the world does being a na'ar have to do here? Why does the Torah tell us, and Yehoshua bin Nun was a lad? To say the point that he was unconvoluted, he was undisturbed by the damaging influence and activity of the people involved in the golden calf. So he made himself like very simple, like a lad. He doesn't know what's going on, and he just left it. That's one interpretation. Reb Noson is really going deeper to probe what's the idea of being a nar. Watch. Shafilu kishaya bibchinat nar. Wow. Bibchinat maaseh na'arut. Af al pi chen lo yamish mitoch ha'ara. This is such an unbelievable insight. That even when these students, like Yehoshua bin Nun, who are sincere, but they also have setbacks. They have what's called narshkeit. Narshkeit comes from the Hebrew na'ar. It's added, shkeit is like the Yiddish addition to nar, narshkeit. We think it's a Yiddish word. It's not a Yiddish word. It's a Hebrew word with an addition. Narishkeit is someone who's carried away by shtusim, by stupidities, by vanities. I know it's wrong, but what can I do? It's killing me. So even the talmidim have those difficulties. They have those difficulties of nar, being a nar. So the Torah is telling us, Yehoshua Benu is a nar. How could you say that about Yehoshua Benu? He's such a tzaddik. He's the main transmission of the Torah after Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Torah is saying he's nar. Reb Noson says yes. Because even the greatest people have downs. It's not wrong to say, you see, secular Jews, they think if a rabbi falls, oh, he's no longer a rabbi. How could you? You're such a rabbi. You're not allowed to fall. You're not to have downs. You have to be an angel. You have to be perfect. People think if someone is super religious, so he's an angel. And how many stories we hear of rabbis, unfortunately, who fell, who cheated on their wives, whatever. I'm just saying, I don't want to go into Chasam and speak bad about anybody. But we hear stories of people who fell. And then people say, look at that. He's a rabbi and a beard and a wife and family, and he does that. So the answer is yes, because everybody has challenges. And who has the most challenges? The people who are more tzaddikim. It's a clear Mishnah. Kol hagadol mechavero, yitzro gadol mimenu. Anybody who's greater, they have a bigger yetzara. So don't have like false expectations. You're supposed to be a tzaddik. You have such a big beard and long payas. How could you? And it's just the exact opposite. Because you have a big beard and payas and you're trying so hard, the yetzara is after you more than anybody else. You think, oh, yetzara is after the people who are far. Just the exact opposite. The people who are being attacked with narishkeit, na'arut, are dafka, the big shots, the big people. Yehoshua Benu. So Reb Noson has the audacity to say this about Yehoshua Benu. It's scary, but because he's trying to tell you such chizuk that comes out of this. Unbelievable. That even when he was an aspect of a lad, a nar, b'chinat ma'aseh na'arut, the idea of narishkeit, someone who does foolishness, folly, stupidity, does stupid things when you should know better. What are you doing eating the chocolate chip cookies and you get sick and you know it's not right, you're not even hungry, and the person is noshing and this, or he takes a cigarette, whatever. And I'm not gonna, there's examples we all know. But like nobody's perfect, especially someone who's trying to be a Yehoshua Benu. He has narishkeit, okay? Afal pichen, the chidush about. So you think, okay, so what's so special about you, Yehoshua Benu? If now you're a nar, so why should I respect you? Why should you have a different ball game than other people? The answer is what the verse continues to say. Lo yamish mitoch ha'oel. Even though a person like Yehoshua Benu has a narishkeit, he has foolishness, nonetheless, he doesn't budge. Like Avraham Avinu didn't budge, the same idea. Lo yamish mitoch ha'oel. He's not budging from within the tent. He doesn't say, okay, if I've fallen so low already, so I might as well just go and drop everything, become secular, cut off my beard, trim my payas, dress more cool and more modern. What's the problem? Anyways, I'm fallen. Anyway, so that Yehoshua says, no, just because I fell, I have to lose everything? Just because I fell a little. It's like Rabbi Nachman, the famous analogy we brought once, that Rabbi Nachman once said, a person's eating pork with gravy. So he said, Rabbi Nachman, just because you're eating pork doesn't mean you should let the gravy ooze down your beard. Right? Just because you're so low doesn't give you the okay, so I'll fall all the way. People think, oh, if I've fallen, so I'll go all the way. It's a verse from, I think, Kohelet. Al tirisha harbe or mishle. Don't, if you're wicked already, don't say, okay, if I'm this bad, so I'll go all the way. Because you've given up on yourself. You feel like Hashem has given up on me also, so I'll go down all the way. It's over. It's fightful. It's finished. See, no. The sign about this, and if you do that, so you show us that you're not a Yehoshua. What's a Yehoshua? That even if he falls, he says, I'm not budging from you. Nachon, I don't deserve. Nachon, I have all the negative things. Nachon, go on and on. All my negative points, true, but I'm not budging from you. They say, but why not? Look at you. You're like everybody else. I say, no. I know that there's nothing else out there. This is my only hope. So the sign of a talmid is that even with all his narishkeit, he doesn't budge from the tent. That's what makes a talmid a Yehoshua, a real talmid. Ki afal pi chen amad etzel hapetach harbe ad shedachak et atzmo letoch ha'oel velo mash mitocho v'chanis kalem. Because nonetheless, he stood by the entrance, like Avraham Avinu. He stood by the entrance of the tent a long time until he squeezed himself to get into the tent, and now he doesn't move from it. I'm not budging from here. You can try to say anything about me. Look at you. You're nobody. You're wasting your time. You're doing narishkeit. It's true, but I don't want to be like this. Number one, and number two, I'm not going to listen to you to go out now. And say, well, you might as well leave. You have nothing else to do. You're just wasting everybody's time. So I'm not wasting everybody's time. This is where I have to be. Okay. So now he goes back, Reb Noson, to the parsha Vayera. The next verse. Vezehu vayisa einav vayar v'nei shlosha anashim nitzavim alav. So then it says that, and Avraham Avinu raised his eyes, because don't forget, he was sitting at the entrance of the tent and it was hot, and he was busy with the bandages from the Brit Milah, and in pain, undoing the old bandages which were dirty with blood, and putting on new clean bandages on the circumcision. It was on the third day where he's really in pain, and the whole body is weakened because of the pain. So he lifted his eyes, and he sees three men standing upon him. Not above him, like above him, but like by him. That they're waiting in close proximity that he can see them. Shlosha, why three men? He's going to know details of Likutei Moharan lesson 24. The number 3 is associated with how holiness goes up. Holiness, Rabbi Nachman teaches lesson 24, goes up in triads, in groups of 3. In the Kabbalah, you have the lower 3 sefirot called Netzach, Hod, Yesod, which correspond to the 2 legs and the person's reproductive organ. So they're all considered one unit, the 2 legs and the organ. That's like Netzach, Hod, Yesod. Then there's the upper part of the body, which are the 2 arms and the torso. It's called Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. And then finally, the upper head, in the brain itself, you have 3 parts. You have Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat. You have knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Each one are different parts. So there's triads. And the goal of this world is to elevate holiness trapped in this world, to elevate it by doing mitzvot b'simcha, elevating it to the first triad of the legs. The legs give momentum, movement, walking to the mitzvah, the holiness trapped, and bring it up to the level of the hands. Hands are receivers, recipients for bracha. The main bracha being the head, the brain. So the hands activate the blessing of the intellect, and then the intellect is the 3. And then when that coupled with emunah from a higher level, which means as much as you have the blessing of intellect, and you're asking Hashem for the blessing that your mind should be sharp and clear and quick in understanding, nonetheless you join it with emunah, meaning as much as I know, the goal of my knowing is to know how much I don't know. In other words, you're joining emunah always with your knowledge, and that completes the process up until you reach the keter, B'ezrat Hashem. And then the keter does its job now to help a person perceive what's called the infinite light. Okay, so he's pointing out Reb Noson that the 3 men standing over Avraham Avinu is corresponding to the first triad. Watch. Like we said, the holiness is tripled. 3 legs, the hand level and the brain level. 3, 3, 3. Okay? Because the malchut, which is a term of the holiness trapped in the domain of evil and the husks and the dark areas of this world, and also by extension, the mitzvah itself is trapped, and by extension, the Shechina, there's a guy here, the Shechina, the divine presence. I think the cat wants to hear the shir. Nice. Okay? There's neshama. Sometimes they say cats come to hear Torah because they're in the previous Google, they put down Torah study. That's so funny. Yeah, close it in a way that he can peek his nose in only. Okay, there you go. Fine. So the malchut is the term of the holiness, the divine presence, the mitzvah, and it needs to be elevated. When it goes up, where does it go to? The first triad of Netzach, Hod, Yesod, the area of the legs, Shehem Shlosha Midot. There are 3 actual like representatives of the human body, the 2 legs and the brit, the reproductive organ, but they also represent attributes. These 3, it's a whole class in itself. Netzach and Hod are attributes associated with overcoming, with resilience. Netzach means to be victorious. Hod is splendor. Hod, it's like how it sounds, a head. It's like it makes like a bound, like a bashing presence. its majestic splendor, if you want to say. And then Yesod is the foundation. So foundation is always at the bottom. And the bottom being where the legs are. The area of the legs is considered the bottom. So he's saying that we elevate the holiness trapped, that now we add to it the dimension of enhancement of midot, attributes which are represented in Netzach Hod Yesod. And then it goes on, Netzach Hod Yesod Malbish Chesed Gvur Tiferet. And then once that's done, there's now strength of the legs, which means it gives it like structure and a strong, firm foundation to advance. So now the advancement goes up to the level of the arms. Arms being kindness, chesed, gvura, which means to restrain, to know when to restrain, not to be overgiving, because that can be damaging also. And tiferet being a nice balance between knowing the balance of kindness and gvura and restraint, to know to give the proper balance that causes this beauty of tiferet. Okay, and then the next level, chesed, gvura, tiferet, covers up chokhmah, bina, da'at, the brain, because once you have these 6 midot with the malchut itself fixed up, now they're ready to become infused with a furthering of your understanding of Hashem in your life. That's like chokhmah, bina, da'at, v'chule. And Reb Noson doesn't go into this because it's really a lesson in itself. Kam bevuar about Torah and Iskalel, as it was mentioned in the lesson itself, lesson 24. So Reb Noson says, why did the Torah say there are 3 angels? Okay, Rashi says 1 angel came to heal Avraham Avinu, 1 angel came to tell that Sarah will have a baby boy, to give her a pekidah, and 1 angel came to, I forgot what was the 3rd one? To turn over Sodom eventually? I forgot exactly, Rashi says it clearly. Okay, but that's the simple meaning of the number 3. I'm also trying to go deeper to say, but the number 3 is significant because Avraham Avinu, who's standing at the entrance of the tent, is the idea of the person, the Jew, who's looking to elevate the holiness trapped by doing mitzvot b'simcha and not giving up. That's why he's waiting at the entrance of the tent. Once he succeeds in doing that, he has an exposure to these 3 angels, which that means he's now open to the first triad of the legs of Netzach, Hod, Yesod. Okay? So now Reb Noson says, that's why the Torah says, even though they weren't standing on him, but the Torah says that. The Torah could have said, and he saw 3 men like standing close by, as if waiting to enter, waiting for Avraham Avinu to let them in as guests. But the Torah uses this funny wording, nitzavim alav, which literally translates as, and these 3 men were standing on Avraham Avinu, standing on. So Noson says, take a look. It's exactly what we're talking about. The malchut, which Avraham Avinu is associated and looking to work, is the lowest sphera. And then above it, standing above malchut, is what? Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And these 3 men represent these 3 attributes, this triad. So it's fitting, Reb Noson says, that the Torah uses specifically the words, and the 3 were standing on him. Because literally, spiritually, they're standing on him. Okay? Because the truth is, these 3 attributes of Netzach, Hod, Yesod, the legs, are standing over Avraham Avinu, who's busy, who's the Jew looking to elevate the Malchut. Because the goal is to go up to these 3 levels. Because wherever you're holding in this structure, always above you there's 3. If you're now at the beginning point, Malchut, so you have the legs, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And if you're standing at Netzach, Hod, Yesod, so you have the next triad of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. And if you're standing at Netzach, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, you have the next triad of the brain, Chokhmah, Bina, Da'at. There's always 3. So he's saying at every level, there's 3 standing upon you. That's what the angels are representing, each triad in itself, depending where you're holding. Okay? That they're standing on you, idea of the next level, and it's 3. Each one of the groups is made up of 3, like we said. There's also the idea that we say every day in davening, in the Kedusha, in Shacharit and Mincha, we say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Why do we say 3 times Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh? Holy, holy, holy. Just say Kadosh, Hashem is holy. Why 3 times? Holy, holy, holy. Okay? Because even holiness all holiness is elevated in the format of a triad. It's three. Three is what makes the difference here. Okay? Three begins to allow holiness to become revealed and developed and advancing. Because like we said, all elevation of holiness is through the number three. This is the meaning of a famous Gemara. Shabbat, page 88a, a very famous Gemara. Let's read the whole sentence. Brich Rachmana, de Yahivlan Oraita Tlita'a, al yedei Tlita'a, beyom Tlitai. Blessed is Hashem, blessed be He, who gave us a tripled Torah on the third day, the triple day, beyom Tlitai, and by a third person. What in the world? So the Torah is tripled because the Torah has Torah, Nevi'im, Ktuvim. Also there's like the Torah, there's the Mishnah, the Gemara. There's three levels. There's many ways to see the Torah in three levels. Okay? Through Al-Yad Klika'a, who was the third person who gave the Torah? Moshe. The first brother, his first sister is Miriam, and then under her is Aharon, and the youngest brother is Moshe. So he's the third one also. B'yom Klita, I have to remember, it's on the third day. I think it was on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday? It can't be a Tuesday. I've not the third day I have to remember. About B'yom Klita. What does it mean on the third day? But the point is, the Gemara, everything is three here. Why? Because the idea of elevating holiness is tripled. That's why you need a tripled effect to elevate. Okay? What do you call when your car runs down? Triple A. You remember that? Triple A. So now the next part of the parsha. What it says in the parsha, as soon as Avraham saw the three guests, the three strangers, the three angels, he saw and he ran towards them. Why did he run towards them? The Rashi doesn't say so much about why he ran. Obviously, he ran to do the mitzvah. Okay? But the Torah makes an emphasis, Vayarotz, and he's sick and he's in pain. He just did the circumcision. Vayarotz, when someone runs to do something, it's because they're happy doing it. When you're normally, you're not, I have to catch my bus. You're running. Normally, we do things fast because you're so happy about it. So you start doing things with energy. You're getting ready to travel. Oh, I'm so excited. And you're ready. I'm ready. Are you ready? Is everybody ready? I'm ready. What happened? You're always lazy all year round because they're happy. So they're happy. They're excited. So people are very energetic when they're happy to do something. Okay? So its idea connotes being swift, zealous, and joyous. Because being quick is a sign of joy. Kamuvan b'Torah arachat apayim, like is understood from Nachman's lesson, the Kutei Moran lesson 155. Uchmo shamur aboteinu zal, and like I said, just teach in the Gemara Brachot, page 6b. Mitzvah larutz lebeit hakneset v'lidvar mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to run to shul. It says in the halacha. Ideally, a person should run to shul and to run when doing a mitzvah. Like the verse says in Psalms chapter 122, Samachti be'omrim li beit Hashem nelech. King David says there, that Shir Malot, I was happy when they told me, let's go together, let's walk together to the house of God. So I'm happy in walking. That's the idea of the walking, okay? So that's why the Torah says, in the last expression, he ran to the guests, because he was happy to doing it. So Reb Noson wants to elaborate this point. Because anybody who looked at the ultimate purpose in life with an honest eye, an honest perspective, so definitely, if now you have a truthful perspective of your purpose and mission in this world, so such a person definitely, when it comes to the point of going to shul or going to do a mitzvah, if you know your ultimate purpose in this world is only to do mitzvot and good deeds and to spread Hashem's awareness, not just for your own personal enjoyment, to get money, to have a nice house, a nice Porsche, and just be concerned about yourself. But you look at the true purpose of this world, I'm here for one purpose and one purpose alone, for Hashem, period. When you know that, and you believe in that, and you look at that, so you definitely run with tremendous joy and tremendous zealous to go to shul, to do any mitzvah. Because this is all you're going to take with you. This is your life force, your life support system, and your hope for eternally. V'chutz mizeh hakol havel havalim. And besides this, everything is just a waste. It's vanity, pure vanity outside of mitzvah performance. What do you want? That's the reality. Ki lo yisher klum mishum davar. You're wasting your time if you think you want to invest in this world. You are wasting your time because there's nothing that will be lasting and left from the nice table, the nice chairs, the nice, whatever heirloom and bookshelves and Chanukiah and Kiddush cup, whatever. That's your mitzvah, obviously. But whatever person has, like of a personal, sentimental thing, nothing matters at the end. In the end, everything is gone. Nothing of this world is lasting. So what is lasting? What you take with you. And what do you take with you? All the mitzvot you did, period. All the tzedakahs that you gave, all the brachas that you said, that's all you take with you. You're wasting your time if you think it's worth investing in this hobby and that hobby and this. Invest in doing mitzvot, okay? Chaval. You're just hurting yourself. You're just hurting yourself, okay? כי לא יישאר כלום משום דבר, לא מהשירות ולא מצער העניות והדלות. Nothing will be left, not from the wealth that you may have had, and not from the suffering of poverty and being a pauper. Even that is going to not matter in the end. ולא משום דבר תאווה, and not from any lustful, desirous item, and not with kavod and kin'ah, v'sina, ukpida, all the honor that you sought, and all the jealousy you had of other people, and the hatred, and being makpid, and being very, very exacting on other things and other people. You take nothing of this with you. Kamo shekatuv, like the verse says also there in Tehillim, chapter 49, verse 18, Ki lo bemoto yikach hakol v'chule v'chule. Because the person in his death will not take everything that he has. He doesn't take his mansion. That was so funny once. They showed a guy from like Texas or something. He was a biker. He was like, I think, those bikers? And he wanted to be buried with his bike. So he died, and they glued him, or they dressed him up with his shades and his motorbike, Hell's Angels hat, and the jacket. You see them burying him in a glass cage. It's all glass, and like he's glued to his seat, like it's as if he's alive still. He's dead, and he's sitting on his bike. He requested to be buried with his bike in the ground. So you think of that, you look at that, such stupid. He's buried in the ground in a glass cage, maybe embalmed him, I don't know. But so he's in the earth now, and people forgot about him now. People go on with their lives. Okay, he may have made a little monument on his grave of the motorcycle, bike, and everything. He's underground. What did you take with you? Well, you're a laughing stock. A laughing stock, okay? You don't take anything with you. And also it says in Kohelet, chapter 9, verse 6, Gam ahavatam, gam kinatam, gam sinatam kvar avada. Their love, their jealousy, their hatred, all that is lost already. They took nothing with them. ולא יישאר רק מה שיחטוף בכל פעם איזה טוב ללך לבית הכנסת או לבית המדרש. There's nothing that's left from a person other than that which he grabbed, לחטוף, because you got to grab it. Every time, some good, whether it's going to shul, going to a beit midrash, לעשות איזה מצווה, to do a mitzvah, ועל כן בוודאי מחויב כל אחד לרוץ בזריזות בשמחה גדולה לדבר מצווה. So therefore, definitely, every person is obligated to run with zealousness out of tremendous joy to do a mitzvah. If anyways, that's all you're going to take with you, and you have a truthful perspective. Again, he said in the beginning, someone who looks at his ultimate purpose will see this to be true. The problem is people are too busy. They don't have time to have what's called yeshiva dat, time to settle their mind in order to focus on their perspective. That's the word. That's the best word in English. People are lacking focus. That's the word. If we can sum it up in one word, people lack focus. They have no focus in their life because they're too preoccupied. And you give the excuse, you have to do this, that. Rabbi Nachman says you have to set aside time every day to refocus. That's hitbodedut. The idea of hitbodedut is to be alone, talk to Hashem. By being alone, it allows you the quietness, no phones, no nothing, to just think, to focus on your purpose in life. To focus means, like on a lens, you have to focus it so you can see farther much better, or see the small details better. That's the idea of focusing a lens of a camera. So when a person focuses, it's to be able to see clear very far. That's the idea of focusing on your tachlis. To focus means to look at your ultimate purpose in life. And when you do that, you see automatically that there's nothing else of true value in the world. Not the TV, not the baseball shows, not the concerts, not this, the pizza and going out and having a fine restaurant. Nothing is left with you. Not the baseball game, nothing. All you have of you is the mitzvot that you take. You have to be, you're just fooling yourself. But what? You're over. They say, you're too extremist. My friend, too extremist. You're the one wasting your time. You're the one who's going to suffer in the end. We're extremists. What are you telling me? Focus. Stop and focus. Don't just money. Look at your purpose in life. See. And when you do that, you see there's no other purpose in this world other than to do mitzvot. Period. It's clear. The reason why you don't see that because you're not focused. Focus and you'll see. Okay? That's why you have to do besimcha, because you know you're doing the best thing in the world. When you do a mitzvah, Reb Noson says elsewhere, you're doing the greatest thing. You're touching the most powerful source and force of energy in the entire universe when you're doing a mitzvah. Like the Vilna Gaon said once, a Jew buys for nothing, like 20 shekels tzitzit, and he puts tzitzit on his garment, and he says a bracha, and the tzitzit connects him to the highest level possible. What greater thing in the world can be more than that? You do something tiny, and it costs us nothing, 20 shekels, whatever, $20, 20, whatever currency had in the Vilna Gaon's time, and you make tzitzit, and you say a bracha, and that's it, you're connected. Of course it requires emunah. You don't have emunah, we can't talk to you. You're stuck. A person says, these people who doubt, I'm sorry, you're stuck. You have to work on your emunah first. This is for people who believe. For people who believe, this is all the way. And if you don't go all the way, you're just fooling yourself. At least admit that you're not holding there. Fine. But know that you're wrong. Don't try to justify, I can't do it. Know that you're not in the right place yet if you're not holding there. But he's telling you, if you were to truly focus, this is what you'd see. You're not focused, that's why you don't see it. Okay? על כן, בוודאי מחויב כל אחד לרוץ בסדר סולי, בזריזות ושמחה גדולה דבר מצווה, וכל מה שיודע שרחוק יותר מהשם יתברך, and now watch this, and the more a person knows how far he is from God, he sees where he is, and he sees in such a low place compared to where he should be, where he could be, where he wants to be. So then such a person, when he does a mitzvah, he shouldn't say, okay, so then I'm so far, so I might as well give up. No. Hu mechuyav lismoch yoter v'yoter b'asiyat ha-mitzvah. Dafka, specifically the people who are farthest, specifically them have the right, the necessity to be happy more than anybody else when doing a mitzvah. You would think, who are the happiest people? Simchu b'Hashem, v'gilu tzaddikim, right? The tzaddikim are the happiest people. He's saying, Reb Noson though, the people who are farthest, when they do a mitzvah, they have access to the greatest simcha more than anybody else. And they are fitting, and it's more proper for them to be happier than anybody else, that someone as far as me puts on tefillin, someone as low as me has the lulav and etrog in my hand, someone as low as me says a bracha of these lips, that they touched so much impure things and ate such garbage and said such terrible things, and now I'm saying a bracha of them, you know? So he's saying it's just the opposite of the psychology of most people. He's obligated to be happy more and more in doing mitzvot. Mechamat shu gamhu, since he, yes, even he, sherachot kol kach, that he's so far, zoche gam ken la'asot mitzvah. He's zoche to do also a mitzvah. Okay?
You're saying he's obligated to be happiest, or they're naturally happier?
No. Mechuyav, obligated. Vezehu, that's the word Reb Noson used, mechuyav. Vezehu bechinat vayach. Okay, now this is the meaning of what it says in the beginning of the parsha, that he saw, of this pasuk here, not vayera. There's vayera at the opening word of the parsha, and then it says when he saw the angels, when he saw the three angels. So the word is vayar, which means and he saw. But Rashi explains, Peresh Rashi vehevin. Rashi says he understood. What did he understand? Rashi says he understood that the reason why they stopped walking towards him, because they did it out of his honor. They came to Avraham so he can do the mitzvah of Hachnas Orchim, and logically you see him suffering in pain, so you should come up to him. Why trouble him to walk to you? But they did it because they wanted to show Avraham Avinu, we don't want to trouble you, but because you're coming up to us, so we will stop in honor of you. And that message is even greater than of abstaining the sick person from a bit of pain. In other words, you would think, walk towards him, save that little pain of walking to you. But no, Rashi says it's a greater accomplishment when I show out of respect for you, I don't want to bother you. Okay? But you, I know you're insisting, so I will stand, even though it causes you to suffer a bit more to walk to me, but the gain of the honor generated, the love, the connection of human midot reflected in my honoring you, and that's why I stopped. Even though you're going to suffer more by walking to me, it's a greater accomplishment. That's what Rashi says. So now Reb Noson, a step further. Ve'evin, she'evin heitev istakel al ha'tachlit be'emet. Rashi says ve'evin. The word Rashi uses, and he understood. So Reb Noson saying this is something very big. That understanding now is opened up to a person who runs to do a mitzvah. The benefit is now, the mind is open now. Watch. He understood clearly, or what he said earlier, that the goal is doing mitzvot. So Vehevin, he understood that there's nothing to, I'm rephrasing, I'm re-explaining it. Sorry, it's even better what he was saying now. I misunderstood. The Vehevin, Rav Noson's pointing out from Rashi, is that he understood, like we just said, that the whole purpose of this world is only to serve Hashem. So that's what pushed him to run to do the mitzvah. Understood? Like we said, when you understand, when you focus. So he had vehevin, in more modern English is the term for focus. He focused to see the purpose of life, and that's what he's saying. Vehevin shevin heitiv v'istakel al tachli be'emet v'yidai zeh v'yarotz likratam, and that's what led him to run towards them. Zeh bechanat simchat mitzvah. The running is out of joy, even though he's in pain. That's a chidush. Avraham Avinu was in pain, third day of Brit Milah, and yet he ran to do the mitzvah of Achalas and Orachim, which shows him that he had simcha doing a mitzvah. Otherwise, why would he run? Limp, arse to the grouch, limping, whatever. Because it's through specifically doing mitzvot b'simcha, that's how you elevate the holiness from the evil forces. Doing a mitzvah alone is not enough to do this. Doing a mitzvah, you get reward. Doing a mitzvah b'simcha is like worlds apart. Doing a mitzvah and then doing a mitzvah b'simcha is 180 degrees different. Don't think it's the same thing. Oh, I did the mitzvah. What's one ball game? You do a mitzvah b'simcha, you're in a different ball game. We're all doing mitzvahs. Okay, yeah. Are you doing it b'simcha? That's the question. Why trying now? No, you should know that if you do the mitzvah b'simcha, you're in a different ballgame. It's a different territory, different domain. That's what gets things moving. That's why he stresses doing the mitzvah b'simcha. And like again, the Torah says, all the punishments, Parshat Ki Tavo, Tachat Asher Lo Avadet et Hashem Elokecha b'simcha. All the punishments come because the Jews didn't serve Hashem with joy. That's not because they didn't serve Hashem. They didn't serve Hashem with joy. That's the whole thing here. Okay? That's the main way of elevating. I have to turn this on again, sorry. Okay, elevating the holiness trapped in the klipot until you merit all these ascents, the triads, up to the highest level. Until you reach the highest perception, which is called the 9 chambers. It's called 9 also. 3, 3, 3. It's like 9. Number 9 is made up of triads. Okay, we didn't go into that. That's in the lesson, but that's when you reach the keter, the crown. Then you now create vessels, 9 vessels, that through them you perceive the infinite light, which is the goal. So now Reb Noson goes back to the psukim. So now with this in mind, look at the wording of the verses in the parsha, last week's parsha. Vayarotz likratam, and Avram ran towards them, the 3 angels. And from the Torah tells us from where? Mipetach ha'ohel, from the entrance of the tent. I already know that he's at the entrance of the tent. Why saying it again? Let's see what he says. Ze bechinat hatchalat aliyat ha'kedusha shebechinat petach. This is teaching us. Reb Noson is so amazing. I can't tell you. It's so amazing how he sees in a pasuk what he's expressing. It's just unbelievable. Okay, he's saying, Reb Noson, in these 4 words, "Vayotzi katam mi petach ha'ohel," that this is how you begin. Petach ha'ohel, entrance to the tent. What does it start with? It starts with Vayarotz likratam. It starts with being happy and doing mitzvot, which in this case is reflected in him running towards them. What's him running to do towards them? The idea of doing a mitzvah b'simcha. What is so special about doing a mitzvah b'simcha? Petach ha'ohel. That's how you begin to enter the tent. Mi petach ha'ohel. This is coming from initiation, from the entrance of the tent. That's how you begin things to get moving. The momentum. Amazing. Okay? Vayotz likratam, yeah.
Wait, so you say things get moving, you're saying...
The triads. The legs, the arms, the brain, and then the keter. And the ultimate goal is reaching the infinite light, which on a practical level translates gaining the clarity that you so badly need in the daily challenges and frustrations that you're having in life. That comes from the keter. It doesn't come from here. It doesn't come from just doing little mitzvot, and you need for that a high dosage, a high light. You need, for Reb Nachman says, when a person is very sick, you go to the best doctor. So too, if a person is really suffering with major challenges and he's doing everything, he's doing mitzvah, nothing's moving, so he has to go to a higher level. When you deal with something in life, you try to deal with what you have at your level, it won't get you anywhere. What you need is to activate a higher level. So now, how do you do that? How does it start? So Yehoshua said the starting point is the simcha and the mitzvot. That will eventually lead you up the triads, till you hit the keter. And once the keter is hit, it's activated. And then with the process mentioned, we didn't go into it at all right now, that activates the infinite light shining to a person. What does that do to a person shining? What do I need infinite light? What do we do with this light? The light gives you clarity to see from a higher perspective what you're going through in life, so you know what direction to take. If it's chas shalom, finding a cure for a cancer, if it's a shalom bayit issue, or where to put my child in the right education, I need help, but from a higher level. Of course I need divine assistance, but I have to recognize divine assistance has to come in the format that I'm activating something that will activate from a higher perspective coming down. And not that, okay, I stay in low emunah mode and just doing things at this level and expect things to get better by themselves. No, I got to do something to trigger it. The triggering, he's saying, is the simcha. The simcha and the mitzvah triggers all the way up to the keter. So he's saying it like nicely expressed in this week's parsha, in Parshat Vayera. Vayarotz likratam. From where does that come? Mipetach ha'ohel. It comes from that's where he's starting from. So he's saying ze bechinat hatchalat aliyat kedusha shu bechinat petach. This is the idea of the inauguration, the opening up of the elevation of holiness, which is the door here. That's the petach bechinat malchut. Like we said, malchut is the beginning point. It's the lowest of the 10 sefirot. It's below the triad of the 3 legs, the leg area, the triad of the arm area, the triad of the brain area. Malchut is all the way down, and that, like we said earlier, is called the petach. We said that last week. So now the next part of the verse, Vayishtachu arza, and Avraham bowed down on the earth. He bowed towards them on a simple level. It means he's trying to gain their respect, to listen to him, to come and eat and wash their feet and take a break in his Hachnasat Orchim scenario. Okay? So Vayishtachu arza. What does that mean on a deeper level? Why is the Torah telling us, and he bowed down? What do I need to do with this piece of information in the Chumash? Ze bechinat bitul uchlaliyut be'or ein sof. This is showing already, just by doing the simcha of running to them to do the mitzvah chanasat orchim, he already attached himself, reached a connection and nullification and unison in the infinite light. Because now, when a person bows down, what is that showing? Normally, a person who has strength is standing in standing position. When you're standing on your legs and there's momentum and movement, so that's the sign of your energy. But when you're sleeping, for example, you're helpless. You're in a situation called self-nullification. So when a person purposely prostrates himself, like Avraham Avinu did, The idea of prostration, like he did, he bowed down to the angels as if as out of respect. Not he's worshiping them, chas v'shalom, but he bowed down as as a recognition. On the pshat we said is recognition for their honor to come to eat by him. Reb Noson saying on the deeper level, it means he already accomplished what the simcha of the mitzvah is supposed to do, which is what? A self-nullification and being unified in the infinite light. So he says, the idea of prostration is idea of nullification, where a person falls to the ground, when someone bows down and he spreads himself, his legs and his arms in total nullification because of the tremendous sensation and feeling of the great light, the pure, splendid light that's been revealed upon him. It's in the Zohar, for example. I just saw a Zohar recently that a neshama of a Rosh Hashiva came down and revealed to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai the secret why tzaddikim suffer in this world. And when he revealed it to him, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was so overwhelmed. The Zohar says that he fell on the ground and kissed the stones on the ground. Because he said, I'm just overwhelmed by this revelation because I was for years wondering about this problem. Why they have tzaddik viralo? Why did tzaddikim have it bad? And now you come along and explain to me how. I'm just overwhelmed. So Reb Noson is saying, when a person is overwhelmed, he bows down and kisses. And bows down and spreads the arm out. The idea of hishtachava'ah, which took place, for example, in the Beit HaMikdash. Why did they bow down? Why is it necessary to bow down when the Kohen Gadol said the holy name 3 times in the Beit HaMikdash? There's, we said in the Yom Kippur davening service. Why is it necessary to bow down? Because the idea of bowing down is the greatest expression of nullification due to a revelation of a higher light. When the name of Hashem was expressed in the Beit HaMikdash, the feeling was overwhelming that the Jews had to bow down, okay? So too, whenever you see in the Torah the idea of bowing down, prostration, it's because of an overwhelming feeling of something higher. You can say the same thing about Yosef's brothers. When they came down, they bowed down to him because they felt so needed for him, so they felt totally nullified that they had to bow down. That's why they bowed down to Yosef. That's why in his dream, it was so important in his dream, and you guys are bowing down to me. Why Yosef said, do you need your brothers bowing down? Because like he's saying here, it's a reflection of a self-nullification. The idea of self-nullification is reflected in hishtachava, prostration. In this case, though, he's explaining, by Avraham Avinu, he was overwhelmed by the light revealed to him, this splendor, this tzach light, which is the light of the infinite light, revealed to him due to the mitzvah that he did b'simcha. He was already overwhelmed. By the time he got to the guests, he bowed down, showing that he reached a level of nullification to the infinite light. Unbelievable, okay? This idea that Rabbi Nachman talks about in the lesson, having a revelation of the 9 chambers. Which in other words means where a person has a perception of this infinite light. He's going to all these terms of Noson. In the format of reaching and not reaching. You're in and out. It's it's an experience, but then it's taken away. Because that's the only way to continue. Because there, at that level of the infinite light, being exposed to infinite light, that it applies the concept of prostration at the level of self-nullification. In other words, again, just to summarize, through this simcha, like Avraham Avinu experienced by running, that's why he ran, which is the idea that Avram ran towards them. Unbelievable. Oh, Reb Noson. Through this, he was zoche to revelation of the lights of splendor. The lights of splendor is a very, very high term in the Kabbalah. It's not even talked about. And Rabbi Nachman says, yet this light of splendor is what's experienced when you do mitzvot b'simcha. You can reach that level. We have such a godly revelation that all the suffering just disappears. All the negative, there's no more. Everything is clear. Everything makes sense. Okay? Shesham, and when you're at that level of or tzachtzachot, a relation of tzachtzachot, you can't do anything. You're just overwhelmed by the light. Shesham bechinat ha'ishtachavaya. He's saying something very powerful of Noson. That's where it applies prostration. Okay, now we'll finish off. We're running a little late, but I want to finish this. We're in the last paragraph now. Vezeu vayomar Adonai imna matzati chen beinecha al na tavor me'al avdecha. And this is the next verse. And Avram said to the leader of the three, because that's why it's in singular, or he says in plural, my masters, Adonai, and it's like as if Hashem's name, but it's really my masters. Imna matzati chen beinecha, if I found favor in your eyes, al na tavor me'al avdecha, please don't pass me, your servant. In other words, stop by me. Don't continue on your journey. Please, al tavor me'al avdecha. Please don't pass and not upon your servant me and not do my bidding. Shebikesh. So what's going on? Reb Noson is amazing, because the word he used is Hashem's name. And nachon, it's true that he's referring to the leader of the three, like Rashi says. That's why he calls them my masters. You are my masters, Rashi says, because now that you passed by my house and now are giving me the privilege of doing the mitzvah achnasat orchim, so because of that you're my masters. But then Rashi brings down that it also be Hashem. That Yaakov is Avraham Avinu is telling Hashem. So Rashi is following that line. Just careful, there's a cat at the end. We have to close the door. Yeah. Shebikesh mi Hashem itbarach shelo ya'avor mimenu. Look at this. So he's saying, in other words, the pasuk could have used, if it just wanted to say my masters. There's many other ways to say it. Why use Hashem? Why use Hashem's name? Why use the term that we use talking about Hashem? So it must mean that it's also referring to Hashem. So we're based on Reb Noson has the permission. He opens up to say like this, that really Avraham Avinu was talking to Hashem. Shebikesh me'Hashem yitbarach shelo ya'avor mimenu. Unbelievable that he asked Hashem, blessed be He, please Hashem, don't leave me. You give me this exposure, I'm prostrating, an infinite light experience, which causes the prostration with total nullification. And his request, what's Avraham Avinu asking? Don't let this light leave me. Hainu, shelo ya'avor ha'idgalut azot. Please Hashem, don't let this revelation leave. Please, let something stay. I has to go. Because everything you said is reaching and not reaching. Matei v'la matei. It has to go. But I'm asking you, Hashem, leave something of it by me that shouldn't go away. Ad shisher etzlo mimenu reshima tova. Until I just have some roshem, some good, tiny, reshima is like a tiny, what's roshem, what is it? Yeah, but tiny. The word, when you use roshem, it's not big. It's always referring that he left an impression on me. When we say about somebody, he left an impression, normally it's big. But in this case, it's tiny, but the tiny is enough to give me sustenance and nourishment and strength to continue. Okay, so he's asking, and until you keep by me a good impression left. Shetzrichim nishtadel me'od. Reb Noson says this is unbelievable. Don't be after the lights. Don't run after the spiritual lights that there are in Judaism, having a spiritual high, because that you won't take with you. What you should ask for is that whatever lights you experience, let it stay with me for the difficult days, for the hard days, when I get old and weak and this and that. I should have that light still with me that keeps me going on. That's what's important. More important than, the high days, the high years, and I was flying. More important than that is what's happening 40 years from now, 50 years from now. Am I like an old person, old folk in old folks' home, just all full of chas v'shalom yeush, despair, and not wanting to live, and nothing works in the body, and they have to clean and shower, and the person rather be dead, chas v'shalom? Or do you have some chayut that's keeping you around and getting you going and making you besimcha that you're able to? I know somebody who was like in the Vietnam War and was affected by Agent Orange, or some type of chemical, and it knocked him out like 30, 40, 50 years later. And he's like, can't almost do anything. And he says to me always, what would I do now if I didn't have Rabbi Nachman's teachings? What would I do now to bring me simcha? I can hardly go to the bathroom, can hardly move around. He's in a wheelchair and everything. And he says himself, what gives him life now are the perspectives given by Rabbeinu and Reb Noson and the rest of teachings to just make it happen, to make a change in life. Amazing, okay? So Reb Noson saying this is the most important thing, is what you take back with you. You have to really do your best that you shouldn't have that revelation leave so fast. Keep it with you as much as possible. They say about, Rav Nachman said about Rav Zusha of Anapoli, that he was able to serve Hashem 22 years with the energy of his initial beginning. When he began with the Baal Shem Tov, he was out, and 22 years passed, he was able to continue 22 years with that fire. The fire that he had initiated 22 years earlier, when he started and he became a student of the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid, whatever. So he was able to go on for 22 years. That's why Rabbi Nachman said that as a praise. Here's a tzaddik who held on, like this idea, to do as much as possible, don't let it go. It's like a balloon that wants to go up and you're holding it down. Don't go, please don't go. And stay with me something. And you do your best. He's saying you should, because that's what gives you the energy to go on in life, to do things, to become better, to keep on going forward. As you have a revelation of this light still by you. It's like, oh, I forgot about it already. It's like sometimes you see people in videos and pictures that when they were in their beginning years, they're like such tzaddikim and everything. And you see them 40 years later, and eating the kugel and the kishke, like, he doesn't, the topsy-turvy shtreimel. I'm just saying that he's the same guy. You begin to wonder. He was like they show you pictures of someone that like an old guy now. You see him like in videos and pictures 40 years earlier, and you can't believe he's the same guy. No way. It's like a different. He looks like he was always Tisha B'Av. I can't believe he was once a happy guy and over-energetic. What happened, right? So he's saying, Reb Noson, you got to do your best to keep it with you. That's how you stay young. You got to keep it with you, okay? To the point where you have some good impression that you can, with that, bring yourself back to life always, to reconnect to it. And this is what Avraham Avinu asked of Hashem, blessed be He, who revealed himself at that time. Al na ta'avor ma'alavdecha. What powerful words. Reb Noson is unbelievable. Pshat is, he's saying to the angels, don't pass me. You now passed by my house. Don't continue, rather come in. But here, he's talking to Hashem. Avraham Avinu is saying to Hashem, please, don't leave your servant. Don't leave me, Hashem. The light that you gave me in my life, don't take it away from me. Please, keep it with me. And now, the next verse, V'zeh yukachna me'at mayim. He said to the angels, take some water. Sorry. Yukachna me'at mayim. Please take some water. And he said, and to wash your feet. Because he was worried that there were Arabs who worship the dust on their feet. Okay? That's the pshat. So look what Reb Noson said. What does it mean, yukachna me'at mayim? Ze remez al hamshachat hashefa. This is the idea of now the result also of doing the mitzvot b'simcha is that it activates the hands eventually, and the hands brings down abundance. Shebikesh shelo ya'avor mimenu ha'itgalut ad shamshich misham shefa. He's requesting, don't leave me, al na ta'avor ma'alavdecha, to when? Hashem says, okay, like as if Hashem says, okay, until when do you want to keep me by you? You want me to stay by you, the light that you had, which is Hashem's light, you want me to stay by you. Hashem says, Kivyachol. Until what point? So he says, until I'm able to take some water. What's water? The idea of shefa. שביקש שלא יעבור ממנו התגלות עד שימשיך בשם שפע, שזה בחינת ירידת השפע אחר התפילה. Which is the idea of the abundance that comes down after the davening. And here he's comparing it to water. Because water is the source of all shefa. Water is what gives life to everything. If there's no water, there's no food. Nothing. There's no animals, there's no fish, there's no chicken, if there's no grass, there's no water, there's no rain, there's nothing. There's nothing. The whole ecological system is based on water. So that's why it's called the key of Shefa. So he compared, he just said, it's what he said earlier, that at the end of the davening, the goal of davening, Shacharit has 4 stages. Like we said, there's the Korbanot, Psukei de Zimra, Krat Shema and the blessings, and then Shmon Esrei. And then the final union is at the end of the Bracha Sim Shalom. Sim Shalom, please place peace. That's when you've reached the pinnacle. And then now what's left? That to take down what you accomplished from your davening today. It sounds funny because most people they daven late, they daven like they don't care. But every davening brings down something. Even the most davening, the davening you're so disgusted about and you're so even that davening brings down shefa, whether you like it or not. Okay, it's amazing. You're just saying the words, blah blah blah. I'm just saying the words sometimes. But it activates. All the more so when you can connect to it. But every davening counts. We finished it. You're at Son. It was very powerful. You see Reb Noson really, really taps into the spiritual psychology of a Jew who's trying to connect to Hashem. It's very emotional. It's very powerful what he's saying here. and we should be zocheh. The main thing is to do mitzvot b'simcha. That's what comes out of this. Okay, shkoyach b'zat Hashem.
Can you dedicate this year to Mishalom Favish Ben Rafgaracha?
Okay, so the class retroactively is dedicated to the refuah or refuah for Mishalom Favish Ben Rivka. So Rabbi Nachman ben Fege and Reb Noson should have a complete refuah shlema, and the shefa should come down, and the simcha of the mitzvot should be activated.